This video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. The magic of the ICT Judas Swing. ICT's Judas Swing is an important event in the trading day and can lead to some nice trades if used properly. In this video, we will go over how to use the ICT Judas Swing to find highly profitable trades. When using ICT's power of three concept, the Judas Swing represents the second phase or the manipulation phase of the power of three. The power of three is accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, and it looks like this. Price consolidates, and this is the accumulation phase. Then price will move in one direction to trip traders to believing that it's headed in that direction. That is the manipulation phase. Then price moves swiftly and quickly in the opposite direction, and that is the distribution phase. Then normally price will just retrace a little bit and then consolidate again. This looks like a regular candle where we have our opening, then you have your wick, and then the candle's body, and then another wick on the other side. And that is that move down and back up, the retracement. So this is the open, high, low, and close. And that, of course, would be a bearish candle. In accumulation, price opens and consolidates, creating liquidity. The consolidation represents the accumulation phase. The accumulation session usually happens during the Asian session. In the manipulation phase, which is called the Judas Swing, price presents a wick to trick traders into trading in that direction of the wick. The wick represents the manipulation phase, which is midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The manipulation Judas Swing usually occurs during the London session, and that sets the daily high or the daily low. During the distribution phase, traders are convinced of the manipulation move. Price then drastically and quickly moves in the opposite direction, leaving traders stranded with trades in the wrong direction. The distribution phase usually happens during the New York session. Using the Judas Swing. The Judas Swing can be used in three ways: as a trade opportunity, as an indicator of price direction, as a level of liquidity. Here's an example of using the Judas Swing as a trade opportunity. Here is where you can use the ICT Judas Swing as a trade opportunity. As we're coming out of the Asian session, you can see prices in an accumulation phase. As ICT instructs, draw out the midnight price between midnight and 5 a.m. Price will give you a clue to where it's going to be headed, usually by the first liquidity graph. As we see here, the opening at midnight price is respected. Price barely dips below it. This is not enough to tell us that there is a move to the upside. You would want to see a bit of a move to the downside initially, just to give you a clue. Right here, price is respecting this initial opening at 12 midnight. Price then grabs this liquidity, takes out this swing high, and that is your clue. It goes above the opening midnight price and grabs liquidity. And then once it closes below this 4 EMA, you can frame your trade around that. That is your entry for the Judas Swing. Price quickly moves to the downside and creates the low of the day. Then price moves back and consolidates during the rest of the London session, and then starts to move to the upside. And as we see, it closes above midnight price right before the pre-New York open. And then during the New York session, price continues to the upside. That is the definition of the Judas Swing. And this is your way of creating an entry. the Judas Swing as an indicator of price direction. Here's how to use the Judas Swing as an indicator of price direction. We see here there's an accumulation occurring during the Asian session. Then price moves to the upside to grab the liquidity created in the London session after midnight. Again, this is your clue that price is going to move to the downside because it had moved up a decent amount to grab liquidity. Then price moves to the downside, but then comes right back up. This is your Judas Swing that happens during this London session. And of course, the high or low of the day is created between the midnight price and the 5 a.m. price Eastern Standard Time. However, in this case, the high of the day is actually created around 8:30 because of news. But if we look, the Judas Swing happens during the London session, and then you're looking for the direction and where you can enter. And if you're using ICT's concepts of a PD array, you want to make sure that you're entering above 50% of the impulse. Let's take the most recent impulse and draw a Fibonacci. You'll want to enter above the 50% level. So if we're during the London session, you'll want to enter around here when price is rejected from this inverted fair value gap. Or you could wait for a close below the 4 EMA, and then you will have a move to the downside. Price reacts off the 79 Fibonacci level, then continues back up and gives you another entry during the pre-New York session. Now, if you knew this was a news day, you would be careful before entering before 8:30. Once 8:30 has happened, you want to make sure on the smaller time frames, this is a 15-minute chart, that you're watching for an entry during this wick and making sure that your entry is occurring above the 50% level, because we're looking for lower prices for the day. And then we get that in the opening of the New York session. That creates the low of the day. And if you're using this Asian session as your range, you would see that it ends at the 1.618 level. That's where it terminates. Now, to continue with this story that price is telling, we see how it's enticing traders to believe in this resistance level. If we move forward, we can see that price consolidates again during another Asian session and then creates another Judas Swing, taking out traders who put their stops above here. Then it moved to the downside, giving them a reason to go lower, but then it tricked everybody and continued to move to the upside. That's one of the key things about day trading. You want to be sure that you're not getting too greedy and expecting a large day range. Those happen, but they're not as frequent as these type of days. You want to make sure that you're getting your risk to reward at least 2-to-1, and then protecting your entry with a stop loss. Another way to use the Judas Swing is as a level of liquidity. Here we have a similar setup where there's accumulation during the Asian session. However, price takes out both sides during the Asian session and then creates the Judas Swing during the London session, right at the beginning at 2:00 a.m. We have the move above the midnight price. That gives us the opportunity to go low on a smaller time frame. But as you see, we're looking at the 200 EMA and the 500 EMA, and they're pointed upwards. So this is just a trick, or as the Judas Swing implies, a manipulation for traders to go to the downside. Price then retraces during the London session, and here's your distribution. If we're looking at the origin of the Judas Swing, we can look at that as a potential liquidity area. During the New York session, we get an opportunity to see an impulse and then a return back to an order block inside of a fair value gap. Price then rejects from there. You can put your stop loss below the order block, and then you see a continuation to grab the liquidity that originated at the beginning of the Judas Swing. That's a way to use the Judas Swing as a potential draw on liquidity. To recap, the ICT Judas Swing is a very useful tool as a trade opportunity itself, an indicator of price direction, or as a level of liquidity to be traded to. Make sure you don't get too strict on the high or low of the day, because price may make another high or low during the New York session. Just look at the Judas Swing as a tendency in price action. We hope you've enjoyed watching our video. Please like and subscribe for more videos like these. If you have a question or comment, or something you would like for us to cover more in depth, please post it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.